Hey guys, my name's Crystal. I'm out here in Denver, Colorado. I help people throughout the US get free devices for hearing loss. If you need a captioning telephone or know someone who could use this and they have hearing loss, I will give you the information of how to get this phone and what forms you need below. But this specific video is for anyone who wants to have an overview of the 840i, the CapTel 840i. It's a type of caption telephone that they have, and some folks might receive this phone in the mail and they might want a little bit more information. So if you seem to want some more information on an overview and the manual seems a little daunting, hopefully this will help. One thing you'll notice, I'm assuming at this point that you will have set up your phone. You will have put in the power cord, connected your Ethernet cord to your router, and connected a phone cord to the back of this phone. So assuming that you have it set up already, you're going to take your phone and you'll notice one of the first things it's going to ask you, it's going to make sure that you have your phone line available and that you have an internet connection. After that, you'll notice that it asks you for the date and time, okay? Right now, it says that it's 12 o'clock. It's not. So it's actually 12:28. I only need to type in on this keypad 12:28. It'll go to the AM or PM button. You'll notice it at the blue under here, it'll says use the keypad to enter the time, which we just did, and date. Press yes to accept. Press 2 for AM, press 7 for PM. So right now it's 12:28 PM. I'm going to press 7 so it stays as PM. And I'm going to put the date. And you just type it in using the numbers. And once you have finished doing that, you hit yes. Yes is at the top of the buttons. See right here, you'll hit yes, and it'll save that information for you. Okay? So when you take a look at your phone, you'll notice they're all very similar. They have the volume down here. All of these phones are amplified. So if you have to turn it up, you go up like this, down like this. You'll notice that those buttons, the brightness, it gets a lot brighter and it turns colors. It turns to red. It goes from kind of an orange to a red. That's signaling that the phone is going to be louder. So that's for everyone else in your house who goes to grab the phone so that they know just how loud the phone is about to be. Right here is your caption button. This is where you can turn off the words that come across the screen or turn them on. I highly recommend just leaving this button on so that you'll be able to have captions every time you pick up the phone. The next button on here is tone. And when they say tone, they refer to the way that the incoming caller's voice sounds. So for instance, most people have high frequency hearing loss. They don't hear women or children very well. That's very common. So one thing you can do to manipulate that is press this button and it'll say high, low, medium. Each time you hit this tone button, you'll be able to change the way the incoming caller sounds. Now, everyone has a preference. I've met people who love this feature and they say, absolutely, this changes everything. I hardly need the captions anymore. Other people say it's not as helpful for them. So you really have to play with it, see what kind of hearing loss you have and what works best for you. So during a test call, you should call someone and test it out and press this button. And as you press it, decide, where do you like the voice to be? Do you want it to be lower, medium, where their voice is normally, or higher, a little higher pitched? So once you find what you like, you find your favorite, you click on it and you leave it. It'll save that information, you just leave it. You don't have to do this every single time you pick up the phone. You'll usually like the same range for every call. Another button on here that's next is the mute button. That's if you want to mute someone and not let them hear you. That's usually for people who answer the phone and then it's not for them and they have to yell out to someone and say, hey, Alfred, it's your phone. Come and get it. And then they take it off mute. Okay. Next, you have flash. Flash is for people who have call waiting. You may or may not use this button because you may or may not have call waiting. And redial is redialing the last number that you had called. All right. This part here is pretty boring. It's about the same as every phone you've ever had. So it's not going to be a whole lot different. It's backlit numbers and you use it just like you would any other phone. Then up here, you'll notice there are 3 speed dial buttons. So there is a phone book in this phone. I highly recommend using the phone book in the phone if you feel that you have way more than 3 numbers and you don't necessarily like to use a speed dial. I'll show you how to put a number in as well. So if you decide you want to put a number into one of these buttons, you can, or you can leave them so it is nothing at all, so that these buttons do nothing. As simple as you want it, you can make it. If you want it to be more complex, you can make it more complex as well. So you hit the button that you would like the number saved into. I'm going to try to tilt this so that everyone can see it. But it will ask for a name and then a number. And at this blue line, the blue always tells you what to do. It says press yes to edit or no to exit. So if I press yes, you'll see this little line pop up, this little cursor, and it's showing you where it's about to put information. So this line is under right by name. So obviously we're going to put in the first name of the person that we want to save into here. So I'll put myself. And the way that we would put a name in here is we're going to use the buttons on this pad in order to get the letters that we want. So for instance, my name is Crystal, so it begins with a C. I will hit the number 2 3 times to get to the letter C. R, I go to 7, hit P, Q, R. And I'll go ahead and finish out the rest of these letters to write out my entire name. Now, you might notice that this is very similar to the first texts we ever sent. We used to use the numbers on our cell phone to send out texts. Very similar. It's the same thing. So now, say you want to edit the phone number. Again, at the very bottom there, it'll say press yes to edit number, Press no to exit. We don't want to do that. Press up for shift, like an uppercase letter. Down for backspace. Maybe you spelt a name wrong. And pound for space. Maybe you wanted to put Crystal Work, so you needed a space between those names. I'm going to hit yes because I now want to edit the number. So if I hit yes, you'll see the cursor come down to number. And I will type in my phone number. After you've done that, go ahead and press yes. This will save the information to the button that I have chosen. So if I press this button, you'll have my phone number and my name pop up, and you just pick up the phone and it'll start dialing my number. So if you do want to call any of those numbers on your speed dial, you just press the button and pick up the phone. I also recommend leaving the phone hung up before you press these buttons, because then you can see who it is you're about to call if you happen to forget who is on 1, 2, or 3. The last button in this row is customer service. So this button is very helpful because it goes to the CapTel company and they will answer any questions about your phone. Sometimes people move or they have a power outage or they have any type of issue with their phone. You're able to contact someone 24/7, and everyone's always within the US, which is really important for people who have hearing loss because they need to people to speak as clearly as possible without accents. So that part is very, very helpful. The next part is right on top. You'll see the buttons yes, no, up, and down. And we've used these a couple times already. But these are really to be able to change some of the settings on the phone. It'll allow you to get into the programming, kind of change the ringer volume. We'll show you how to do all of that. So if you press yes, and you'll notice at the bottom of this screen, hopefully you can see it on your own screen at home since it's very difficult to see on here, it says press yes for options. So if I press yes, I'll be able to see a list of options of what they have on this phone. You'll see at the top they have dial from phone book. They have an answering machine, so I'll show you how to do that if you decide you need the answering machine. They have call history, edit phone book, conversations. That's where you can go back and look at old conversations that you had. It'll save about 500 lines worth of text. So say I said, hey, let's go see a 12:45 movie. You said, okay, see ya, and you hung up the phone and you forgot, you can go back and double check. It's also helpful if you think you might have heard something wrong or you didn't know if you remembered it wrong. So, and at the very bottom, there's settings. So I want to go all the way down to settings. You're going to use those up and down buttons that you have right there. Okay, so once you do that and you get down to settings, see how it'll highlight in kind of a blue shade. You'll be able to hit yes. And if you forget how to get into this, the blue line tells you, it says press yes to select, press no to exit. So if I hit yes, you'll see a couple different options for the settings. One is caption settings. This is if you want to change from English to Spanish. You might not really need to go into this very much. Phone settings, that one you're definitely going to want to go into, and I'll show you what we do there It has your ringer volume. A couple of other settings I think are really helpful to change on your phone as well. Display settings, you'll want to go into that and change the size of the words that you want on there. Set the time and date. We should have done that when we very first started, but if you didn't, here's another opportunity to change the date or the time. Maybe you don't want it to have the time that you had put in. That's fine, you can change it. And update phone. You're really not going to do this usually unless someone over at customer service says, hey, you might want to think about updating your phone, or if you think that it's been long enough, you think they might have new software available, you'll hit update phone and it'll update into the latest version of what CapTel has created for these phones. So on the second option, it says phone settings. So I'm going to hit phone settings and I'm going to choose ringer volume. It's at the very top. And how I do that is by hitting yes. Yes is like our enter, it's like our go. There's a little green ring around it. So if I hit yes, that's our medium volume. You'll be able to go up or down to select the volume that you prefer. So if I go up, it's going to be quieter. And if I go up even more, it's on mute. So it's really up to you, whatever volume you want. Just pick what sounds best, and once you choose what you like, go ahead and hit yes. Okay? Then it'll go back to the screen we were just at, and it says ringer pitch. They'll have a lower bass pitch, a medium pitch, which it's on right now, and a very high frequency pitch. You can choose which is best for you. This is the medium, this is the high, and that's the low. So just choose which one you like by going up and down, and then go ahead and hit yes, enter, go. Keypad lights. Some people don't like these lights to be lit all the time, and that's fine. You can change that. So by hitting yes, you'll be able to go to keypad lights always on or keypad lights off, meaning after you're done using the phone, after a few minutes, the lights will go dark. I'm going to choose keypad lights off. I'm going to press down and then hit yes, and it'll save it. Okay, it'll make it so that after I'm done using the phone, these lights won't be on anymore and they'll go dark. Now, they'll still have the volume lights and the caption light, but the keypads, the numbers will not be illuminated. The next one is Save Captions Volume. This one I would highly recommend changing. So what you can do is hit yes in the Save Caption Volume. And right now it should say, do not save caption volume. Your blue line should be on that. Go ahead and hit the up button and hit yes, because you want that blue line to be saved on your caption volume. That means that anytime you turn the volume up on your phone, you will not need to reset it each time you pick up the phone. It will stay at the volume that you set it at. So save caption volume, that means save the volume that I leave my volume at. So go ahead and hit yes. And the next one is tone or pulse styling. I really never touch this. It's not something many people like to do, but you'll be able to hear the pulse. For instance, our tone dialing, that's what we're using now. Our pulse styling is a lot like on the rotary phones that we used to use. So I would ignore that. You really don't have to play with that. Line in use. This allows it so that, say someone else in another part of your home answers the phone and they realize it's for you and you need to pick up this phone, it'll allow it so that the captions just start captioning once you pick up the phone. You won't have to wait to do anything. You don't have to start the call on this phone. It'll just automatically start picking up the captions. When you go to line in use, you're going to want to hit yes, and you're going to want to go down and hit yes again to save line in use, okay? So I'm done with the phone settings right now. I want to go back and see what other settings I might want to change. The display settings come next. So I'm going to go down to display settings. I'll hit yes to select. The first one is the brightness of the screen. Some people like to adjust this. They like their screen brighter. Some don't see as well with it so bright, so they want it to be dim. If you press yes, you'll be able to change the brightness of this screen. So pick whatever your favorite is and then go ahead and hit that yes button for enter. Set conversation colors. That changes the color of the words and the background that you have. Some people find that they see better if they see yellow words on black background or black background on white words, whatever you prefer. The standard is going to be black words over the white background. So if you go down to set conversation colors, you can hit yes. Here you can change your text color by hitting yes, and all the color choices will come up. Remember to use this blue line. It's very helpful. It tells you what these buttons up here are doing on this screen. So I'm going to exit out of this part. I'm going to hit no to go back to this previous screen. And I'm going to go down to set conversation font size. And this is just changing the word sizes. A lot of people really like it to be large. Right here it's medium. Here's your large, and then there's your extra large. Just find whatever is best for you, whatever size you like, and it'll adjust accordingly, and you just hit yes. Once you hit yes, it'll save that size. So every time you pick up the phone, the words are going to be that large. Conversation smooth scroll. So if I go down to this last option, conversation smooth scroll, it will change the way that the words scroll up onto your screen. I recommend you go to smooth scroll off and you just keep it off. It already is off, so you don't have to do anything with it. But if you notice, you rather it not come up as jagged as it does, that's fine. This is where you go to change that. You might want to test it, but it's definitely a preference, not a priority that you change this, okay? So I'm going to hit no and go back to the display settings. I want to go back again to the regular settings, and I don't want to change the time or update the phone, so I'm going to go back again to the options screen. So right now I'm on the options screen. I've gone all the way down to the settings. I've set my phone up just the way I like it, and I decide a couple things. I decide I want to turn on my answering machine, and I want to add numbers to my phone book. So I'm going to go up to edit phone book. You'll see it's the third one from the bottom, And once it's highlighted in blue, go ahead and press yes. It'll ask you if you want to edit an existing contact. We don't have any contacts in there yet, so we're not going to do that. Add a new contact or remove a contact. So press up or down to find what it is that you would like to do. Right now we're going to add a contact. So you probably don't have any in there. So by pressing yes, it'll ask us just like it did on the speed dial buttons. It'll give us the name and then the number. That cursor again is up here because we start with the name. I want you to fill this out just like you would the speed dial buttons. Now remember, when you do your speed dial buttons, that does not mean that they go over into your phone book, which is fine. You just have to re-enter them if you want them additionally in the phone book. So you just use the buttons like I had told you, input your information. I'm going to go ahead and put mine in here for right now, just so you guys can see what it might look like once you've done it yourselves. And here's my name, and then I'm going to hit yes to go down to numbers and put my number in there and hit yes to save. So you could do this all day. You could just add everyone from your phone book. I'm going to put another in here as doctor, just for good measure to show you what it'll look like if you add all of these numbers. Okay? So again, I'll hit save. It'll save it. Now, I'm in the phone book. If you look at the very top of it, it says phone book. I'm in that phone book page of this phone, and I want to go back. So I'm going to hit no. That'll take me back. My no is my exit. Again, if you ever forget, go look at the blue line. So I hit no, and I went back, and I'm down by edit phone book. If I wanted to ever dial from this phone, from my phone book, all I would have to do, I'm going to exit completely out of this so you can see once you're on your main screen, you've pressed no, you've exited all the way out, you're on your main screen, and it says press yes for options. All you're going to do if you want to use your phone book is hit yes, yes. Okay? By hitting yes, yes, you're hitting yes to options, yes to dial from phone book, because that is the first option that comes up. Okay? And at this point, you're just going to go up or down to find the person that you want to call. So you can see it goes alphabetically. So I wrote doctor in there. You could call them or you could call me at Crystal. And all you would do is pick up the phone once you found the person you wanted to dial. So that's how the phone book works. That's how you add the numbers. Last one on here is the answering machine. So answering machine is the second one on here. You'll see the blue line come across. If you decide you want to use this answering machine, make sure you turn off any of the other answering machines that you have in your home. You don't want the machine fighting for the message that's coming in. That means you'll have some messages on one phone, some on another. You don't want that to happen. So if you're comfortable with the way your answering service is now and you like how it is, I would say leave it. Get comfortable with using the phone, and then if you say you really, really love how it works, you've become comfortable, go ahead and change the answering machine because it helps a lot of people. It captions out what's being said, so you'll be able to read what's being said. Another thing is if you have voicemail, meaning Maybe you dial a number to get into your messages at home. Here, a lot of people hit *99 or *98 in order to get their messages. If you wanted to leave everything the way it was and continue to just hit *98, but wanted to be able to see what's being said, just make sure you use this phone when you're checking those messages. But for this one, if our answering machine, we're going to go ahead and hit yes. Now we're in our answering machine settings, okay? Here at the top is our on or off button. I'm going to go ahead and hit yes because I want to take it from off and turn it on. So I take my button to go up, the arrow up, and hit answering machine on, and I'll hit yes. So that'll save it so that right now my answering machine is on. They have a standard greeting on the phone, so you don't have to put your own greeting, but you absolutely can. So the next option is play messages. The next is clear all messages. The next is greeting messages, where you'll go if you want to add your own personalized greeting. Then answering machine settings. That'll do things like change the number of rings. So if you want to go down to answering machine settings, you can hit yes, and you can change how many rings until the answering machine picks up. Some people like 4, other people like to not have to rush to a phone. I definitely don't recommend anybody running to phones. You could always answer on your wireless handsets and then transfer to this phone if you feel too rushed. So just choose whatever feels best for you and go ahead and hit yes. It'll save for that number of rings, and then you'll know at 3, 4, however many rings you chose, your answering machine will pick up and you'll start to see the machine write out word for word what someone is saying on your machine. Right under here is incoming messages. So this has to do with, do you want to be able to hear the answering machine as you're sitting in your kitchen while they're leaving the message, or do you want it to be silent? A while ago, we used to get all of our messages that way. You would hear someone say, "Hey, it's me, pick up the phone. I know you're home." That's what I'm talking about. So if you go down and hit yes, it says incoming message is audible, incoming message is muted. Right now they're muted. You won't hear the people as they're leaving the message. So if you want them to be heard, if you want to be able to hear those messages, go ahead and press up and you'll be able to listen to the incoming messages. You just hit yes. Okay. Now you've pretty much done everything in order to set up your phone. You're going to want to hit no to get out of all of the settings. You've chosen your answering machine. You've done your speed dial. You know what all of the buttons do. And you have your phone book set up, the ringers the way you want. If you have any questions, please let me know. Again, this is a free service. If you need the form to allow you to get this for free, please just look at the link below this video, and please share this with anyone who you think could use it. All right, thank you. Take care.